Chapter 4 of Ruth Fielding of the Red Mill. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Sonali Punja. Ruth Fielding of the Red Mill. A Jasper Pallow's Secret by Alice B. Emerson. Chapter 4. The Gate of the Green Eyes. It was a dark lane beneath overhanging oaks that met and intertwined their branches from each side. This was the Wilkins Corners Road, and it was very steep and stony, uphill and down dale, with deep ruts in places and other spots where the spring rains had washed out the gravel and sand and left exposed the very foundations of the world. It seemed as though no bicyclist or motorcyclist would have chosen this road to travel after dark. Yet there was a narrow path at the side, just wide enough for Ruth and Dr. Davidson to walk abreast, and Reno to trot by the girl's side, which seemed pretty smooth. "We don't want to go by the spot, Doctor," said one of the men walking ahead with the lights. "Don't the dog show no signs of looking for Tom?" "Where's Tom, Reno? Where's Tom?" asked Ruth earnestly, believing that the dog would recognize his master's name. The mastiff raised his muzzle and barked sharply again, but trotted onward. "He might have fallen down any of these gullies, and we would miss him. It's so dark," observed the previous speaker. "I don't believe the dog will miss the place," responded Dr. Davidson. Just then Reno leaped forward with a long-drawn whine. Ruth hurried with him, leaving the doctor to come on in the rear. Reno took the lead, and the girl tried to keep pace with him. It was not for many yards. Reno stopped at the brink of a steep bank beside the road. This bank fell away into the darkness, but through the trees in the far distance the girl could see several twinkling lights in a row. She knew that they were on the railroad, and that she was looking across the great swamp meadow. "Hullo!" shouted one man loudly. "Something down there, old fellow?" Reno answered with a short bark and began to scramble down the rough bank. "Here's where somebody has gone down ahead of him," cried another of the searchers, holding his own lantern close to the ground. "See how the bank's all torn up? Bet his wheel hit that stone yonder in the dusk and threw him, wheel and all, into this gully." "Wait here, child," ordered Dr. Davidson quickly. "If he's in bad shape, boys call me and I'll come down. Lift him carefully." Here, sir," cried the first man to descend. And then Reno lifted up his voice in a mournful howl. Oh, dear," murmured Ruth. "I'm afraid he's badly hurt." Come," returned Dr. Davidson. "Be a brave girl now. If he's badly hurt he'll need us both to keep our wits about us, you know." "Ye needn't fret none, little gal," said Jasper Pallow's voice behind her. "Ye couldn't kill that there Cameron boy, I tell ye. He's as sassy a young one as there is in this country." Dr. Davidson turned as though to say something sharp to the mean old man. But just then the men below shouted up to him. "He's hit his head and his arm's twisted under him, Doctor. He isn't conscious, but doesn't seem much hurt otherwise." "Can you bring him up?" queried the physician. "That's what we mean to do," was the reply. Ruth waited beside the old doctor, not without some apprehension. How would this Tom Cameron look? What kind of a boy was he? According to Jasper Pallow, he was a very bad boy indeed. She had heard that he was the son of a rich man. While the men were bringing the senseless body up a steep bank, her mind ran riot with the possibilities that lay in store for her because of this accident to the dry goods merchant's son. And now the bearers were at the top of the bank, and she could see the limp form borne by them, a man holding the boy under the arms and another by his feet. But altogether it looked really as though they carried a limp sack between them. "First time I ever see that boy still," murmured Jasper Parloe. "Cracky, he's pale, ain't he?" said another man. Dr. Davidson dropped on one knee beside the body as they laid it down. The lanterns were drawn together that their combined light might illuminate the spot. Ruth saw that the figure was that of a youth, not much older than herself, lean, long-limbed, well-dressed, and with a face that, had it not been so pale, she would have thought very nice-looking indeed. "Poor lad," Ruth heard the physician murmur. "He's had a hard fall. And that's a nasty knock on his head." The wound was upon the side of his head above the left ear, and was now all clotted with blood. It was from this wound, in some moment of consciousness, that he had traced the word "help" on his torn handkerchief and fastened the latter with the lamp of his motorcycle to the dog's collar. Here was the machine, bent and twisted enough, brought up the bank by two of the men. "Don't know what you can do for the boy, doctor," said one of them, "but it looks to me as though this contraption weren't scarcely worth saving." "Oh, we'll bring the boy around all right," said Dr. Davidson, who had felt Tom Cameron's pulse and now rose quickly. "Lift him carefully upon the stretcher. We will get him into bed before I do a thing to him. He's best as he is while we are moving him." "It will be a mighty long way to his house," grumbled one of the men. "I believe you," rejoined Jasper Parloe. 3 miles beyond J. Potter's mill." "Jaw!" exclaimed Dr. Davidson in his soft voice. "You know we will not take him so far. My house is near enough. Surely you can carry him there." "If you say the word, doctor," said the fellow more cheerfully, while old Parloe grunted. They were more than half an hour in getting to the turn in the main road, where she could observe the two green lights before the doctor's house. There the men put the stretcher down for a moment. Jasper Parloe grumblingly took his turn at carrying one end. "I never did see the use of boys, no way," he growled. "There's only an aggravation and vexation of spirit. And this here one is the aggravatingst and vexationingst of any I ever see." "Don't be too hard on the boy, Jasper," said Dr. Davidson, passing on ahead so as to reach his house first. Ruth remained behind, for the old gentleman walked too fast for her. Before the men picked up the stretcher again, there was a movement and a murmur from the injured boy. "Hullo," said one of the men. "He's talking, ain't he?" "Just muttering," said Parloe, who was at Tom's head. "'Tain't nothing." But Ruth heard the murmur of the unconscious boy, and the words startled her. They were, "It was J. Potter. He did it. It was J. Potter. He did it." What did they mean? Or was there no meaning at all to the muttering of the wounded boy? Ruth saw that Parloe was looking at her in a sly and disagreeable way, and she knew that he too had heard the words, "It was J. Potter. He did it." Was it an accusation referring to the boy's present plight? And how could Uncle Jabez, the relative she had not as yet seen, be the cause of Tom Cameron's injury? The spot where the boy was hurt must have been 5 miles from the Red Mill, and not even on the Osago Lake turnpike, on which highway she had been given to understand the Red Mill stood. Not many moments more, and the little procession was at the gateway, on either side of which burnt the two green lamps. Jasper Parloe, who had been relieved, shuffled off into the darkness. Reno, after one pleading look into the face of the hesitating Ruth, followed the stretcher on which his master lay in at the gate. And Ruth Fielding, beginning again to feel most embarrassed and forsaken, was left alone where the two green eyes winked in the warm, moist darkness of the spring night. End of chapter 4.